Hey, welcome back to Thrive in Marriage. We're excited to be back with you this week. You know, this week we're going to unpack a little bit of something that is pretty familiar to most of us on some level anyway, and that's how not to shift the blame. Shifting the blame is a pretty easy thing for us to do, since how it began in the garden with Adam and Eve, right?
Yep.
You know, it makes me think of the principles of sowing and reaping. You know, if you plant corn, what are you going to reap?
Corn,
And if you plant green beans, what are you going to reap?
green beans.
That's right. So what in the world does that have to do with what we're talking about? You know, if we reap judgment in our marriage, then of course we're going to reap judgment. However, if we reap grace and kindness and things of that nature, we get to reap from that harvest as well.
I love that, babe. You know, all throughout Scripture, God tells us in His Word to not judge one another. With what judgment we judge, it's going to be judged unto us. And with what measure it meets, it's going to be measured unto us.
Right.
Luke 6:37-38 says it this way in the Message Bible. Don't pick on people. Jump on their failures. Criticize their faults. Unless, of course, you want the same treatment. Don't condemn those who are down. That hardness can boomerang. Be easy on people. You'll find life a lot easier. Give away your life. You'll find life given back. But not merely given back with bonus and blessing. Giving, not getting, is the way. Generosity begets generosity. This week's best practice to a thriving marriage is don't shift the blame. Take responsibility for your own actions, which actually reminds me of one of the silliest arguments Greg and I ever had, which ironically happened while we were doing a devotional couples Bible study.
Yeah.
So we had this Bible study going on, and one of the questions was, what would you like your spouse to change?
I think that was just a setup for a fight.
You'll never find that in one of our devotionals.
No.
You know, truth be told, I was not prepared for your answer. He was really gracious. I said, I'd like you to not go fishing as much, which honestly was no surprise at the time. And I think your response was, I'd like you to clean better. And I started laughing. I thought, surely he's kidding.
I mean, every time you say that now, I just want to duck again.
Just
You know what I mean?
cringe.
Just
Yeah.
kidding.
No, it was funny because he said it innocently, and so innocently that I thought he was joking like he does at different times, only to realize he was serious. And so I had not mastered the art of letting go of old habits of what I still thought he was responsible for. I went through a tirade of, you have got to be kidding. I changed the kids' diapers. I'm up all night. I'm working a full-time job, and you're going fishing, and started doing one of these where I was shifting the blame of why I shouldn't be a better housekeeper. So all of that to say, I wasn't taking responsibility for my part. I was still trapped with, well, I would do this if you would just, or if you wouldn't do this, then I would.
Yep, we
And I
both were.
focused in on all of the ways that Greg was at fault. Dale Carnegie says it this way: any fool can criticize, complain, and condemn, and most fools do. But it takes character and self-control to be understanding and forgiving. For me, I needed to stop the cycle of shifting the blame and take responsibilities for my actions.
So what's that taking responsibility stuff look like anyhow? Taking responsibility simply means that we're extending grace sincerely in our heart and that we choose not to be offended. You know, who wants to be around somebody who's offendable anyway? Now look, I know that sometimes there are things that are offensive, but generally speaking, the more that we can, as a spouse for sure, as a person really, choose to be unoffendable, to be impervious to being offended, honestly, we create a certain magnetism about ourselves. I love to be around people who aren't easily offended because I can joke around with them and have fun, and I don't have to walk around on eggshells and wonder whether I've offended them or not, or suddenly be caught off guard because I did offend them. The second thing there is to simply ask questions for clarity. Somebody wise once said, seek first to understand and then be understood. You know, it went a long way in our marriage when we got our wits about us enough to, instead of being offended, to actually try to genuinely understand where the other person was coming from, to first seek to understand. I can remember you asking me, babe, something happened today, and I just want to talk with you about it a little bit. I want to ask you, you know, what caused you to feel that way? Or what caused you to respond that way? One of my famous lines where I blew it was I was in a great habit of saying, "What's wrong with you, babe? What's wrong with you?" Well, you can see pretty obviously what the implication is now that you're outside or we are outside of a heated moment. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with you? The problem's not with me after all. But when we're able to shift our focus from what our spouse did wrong to our own actions, and again, seek to really understand where they're coming from a genuine place, then I think it really allows us to be able to communicate in healthy communication, which we hear so much all the time. Another thing is that it simply changes the way that we speak. Instead of our sentences starting with you, it starts with I. For instance, I want to love and honor you, baby. I want to demonstrate that I cherish you and that you really are the most important thing in the entire world, the most important person in the entire world to me. Now, I got to back it up with my actions, but those words go such a long way if I do back it up with my actions.
Truthfully, in marriage, our marriage relationship is going to test us unlike any other earthly relationship.
Absolutely true.
And yet, how we treat one another really does reveal the truest indication of our heart's condition. So if we want our marriage to thrive, we have to walk in constant humility. During the time that you were talking there, Greg, I remember there was a time too where we would, in our communication, say, I may not say this perfectly, but I just need to tell you how I'm feeling. And I know you probably didn't mean it to come across that way. As a matter of fact, I know you're a great guy. And that you love me.
Give me the benefit of the doubt.
I would give the benefit of the doubt. Greg would give me the benefit of the doubt. And it really came to a place of walking in humility with one another. Andrew Murray wrote, humility is not so much a virtue along with others, but is the root of all, because it alone takes the right attitude before God and allows him, as God, to do all.
Absolutely. So step 2 then, in not shifting the blame, means that we need to choose between two roads, road of selfishness versus service. Here's the distinction. You see, the road of selfishness says, serve me, versus selflessness says, I will serve you. Selfishness says, I deserve, versus selflessness says, you deserve to be loved and respected. Selfishness says my needs are important versus your needs are more important than my needs are. One of the coolest things and most memorable things that you ever did in probably one of the most difficult seasons of our marriage was you bought me a basket full of fishing supplies and fishing lures. Do you remember that?
I do, yeah.
So listen, we'd been fighting like cats and dogs. I was working full time. She was working full time. We had babies in diapers, and I was fishing full time. I was really considering becoming a full-time bass tournament fisherman during that season.
Yep, you were pursuing that dream.
Yep, absolutely. And she supported me the best she knew how to do. But the truth is with all of those different things going on in our life, there was a lot of times where I was gone and she had the full responsibility of the kids and the house and everything else. But despite all of that, and despite that had been a large point of contention, she comes into work one day, into my work, and presents me with this basket that looks like a bouquet. It's got all kinds of my favorite fishing lures, things that she had no idea really what they were, but she had taken the time to look in my tackle box and to listen to the things that I was saying and presented me with this awesome gift from the gods, if you will, the fishing gods. And
I remember there were pigs and jigs, and I didn't even know pigs and jigs, that you fished with pigs and jigs.
Indeed. So to say the least, it warmed my heart. For her to put her feelings aside, all of her hurts aside, and serve me to that level really caused me to want to press in and begin to serve her in the same way.
So humility opens the door for connection. We want to encourage you, as we close out this session, take a few moments to consider the questions that we provided. There's a lot of verses there.
Yep.
Don't try to conquer it and just get it done.
Great
Spend
point.
some time there, connecting together, having conversations around it, making sure that you're looking at your own heart, not your spouse's. And as you do that, we want to encourage you also to take time in prayer. 2 Peter 1:3 promises that God's divine power has given us everything that pertains to life and godliness. He's for you. He's for your marriage. He's going to help you.